meeting. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to May. We are a month away from the school year concluding. Please shed no tears. We'll be back come August, but we are ready for a summer break. I'm very excited to have a very um, robust agenda today because we're going to learn about, what's going to be on the roadmap for PGCPS for the next, what is it, 3 to 4 years is the strategic plan, or is it 5 years? Is it five
Three.
years? 3 years.
Three. Sorry, I
Okay,
was
so
trying to do three fingers.
we
Sorry.
got a 3-year roadmap coming up for us. And so at this time, I want to call our May 6th, well, today's the 6th? Oh, May 6th meeting to order. It is now 7:07 p.m. Miss Akimbra, are you here with us? She is not. Miss Smith, I need you to take lead, Vice Chair Smith, and please do roll call.
Sure thing. So Teresa Smith sitting in for Miss Akimber Lawrence. James Williams,
Present.
Trayvon Sookie, Reverend Dr. Evelina Huggins, Carletta Lundy,
Present.
Will Bronson,
Present.
Gracia Hurata. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Kamika Harris,
Present.
Christopher Smith,
Present.
Akimber Lawrence, Teresa Smith present, Dolores Millhouse,
Present.
Yesaida Hinton,
Present.
Candace Perkins,
Present.
Dr. Sheila Jackson,
Present.
Robin Welsh,
Present.
with 11 people present. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Okay, and I want to make note that Miss Lawrence is here.
Oh, she's back. Okay,
Thank you, Chair and Vice Chair. I am here.
no problem.
So we are marking Miss Lawrence present.
Yes, I did mark her as present.
Thank you. And so now we'll move into item 3.1, adoption of the Parent Community Advisory Council meeting agenda for May 6, 2026. Can I have a motion on the floor?
Ms. Lundy, so moved.
Second, Dr. Jackson.
Thank you. And hearing no discussion, we'll move forward to approval of the adoption of the May 6, 2026 Parent and Community Advisory Council meeting agenda. Moving to item 4.1, the approval of the Parent Community Advisory Council meeting minutes from April the 8th, 2026. Can I have a motion from the floor?
I motion to approve Candace Perkins.
Thank you.
Seconded, Ms. Lundy.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, we will move forward with approving the April 8th, 2026 Parent and Community Advisory Council meeting minutes. That's a mouthful. Moving on to item 5.1, report of the chair. That'll be me. And so I just want to say thank you all for joining us today. It's always great to see you all's faces on screen and to our guests that we have here today. I think that we've probably met with this group more than we've met with anyone else. Um, and I think that really speaks volumes about the work that has happened over the past 4 years with the advisory council and the culture and climate, input that we've had in the work that you all have done collectively. And so I'm very excited to have the Office of Strategic Planning and Resource Management here today. to meet with us to share all the great work that you all continue to do and make sure that we have a roadmap. For me, the report out really is about what we are moving into. We are moving into a changing of the guard. I've been here 4 years in my role as chair and as vice chair with the Parent Community Advisory Council. We are having elections today. There will be a handing off of the baton to the next group that will lead this work. And it has been tireless work, but very, very impactful and important to make sure that the parent and community understand the role that we have to supporting the work that happens here in PGCPS. I did not have the superintendent designees, and I didn't give them time today on the agenda. So what I would like to do is give them a brief moment, not to go over the full presentation, but to please highlight a key item from what you need to share from your perspective areas, because I don't really have much to report out on other than I'm excited that summer is coming and I'm ready for a summer break. Dr. Jackson.
Thank you so much, Chair Millhouse. You all have my full presentation. It added into um, Diligent. And so the main thing that I want to highlight coming up will be our fourth quarterly conversation for parent leaders, to which you all will be invited. It will be a virtual meeting held on June 8th. And so we want to make sure that you all are marking your calendars right now. We always appreciate PCAC's participation in those quarterly conversations. Your insights, your input is very important. But in the PowerPoint that I shared, we have updates from staff member Ms. Falby, who talks about parent cafes. We have updates from Mr. Neftali Ortiz, who talks about diversity. We have updates for Ms. Janice Cook, who is organizing our partnership breakfast that will be happening on June 18th. So you'll see all of those dates, and you will be invited to all of those partnership activities. So thank you so much, and that's my brief report, Ms. Millhouse.
Dr. Jackson, bravo to you. And I just want to add that your team is absolutely amazing. And although we didn't meet with them as much, we've met with them a lot because you are here. And being
And
a
I
part
want
of
to
the team.
say, if I could say they are here tonight,
Mhm.
they are actually in the meeting as attendees as well.
Well, I will say they're always a breath of fresh air, and having worked with each and every member on your team, the work that they do is I could say that it is probably not said enough that your team makes sure that the school system understands the importance of partnering with families and community and our role as co-creators in this space. And I would be remiss in not saying, Dr. Collins, I need more money in that department. Just want to throw my little endless little plug out there. We need more money in Dr. Jackson's department. And I want to move it over to Miss Welsh because we also need money over there because all the legislative work that I and Miss Smith were doing down in Annapolis. I can tell you this, if Miss Welsh and Miss Jackson had more money, we would have more family and community members engaged in the process of really understanding how to support and partner with PGCPS. And so, Miss Welsh, that was an endless plug to throw it over to you. You got next.
Thank you very much, Chair Millhouse. I wanted to, and I did send in a very brief report, but I will just talk very quickly on it. To an update on the Policy and Governance Committee meeting. Last month's meeting actually was canceled, so the things that I shared with you last month is still the same for this month. They are going to be reviewing the committee, the wellness, nutrition, and physical activity policy, where there was a study done and looked at the research related to movement of middle school students in middle school, said give them an opportunity to move during the day. And what did the brain research talk about that? So there will be a presentation at that meeting on that next Tuesday night. And then the only other policy that they're going to add, which was not on last month's policy on the list, was the policy 9260, which has to do with the auditor, the external auditor that we are required by law to have. It's a financial audit. And so that policy will be revised. We are taking several little policies that are like cost estimates of board resolutions, opening of meeting with prayer, certificates of recognition. All those we are rescinding. They'll be rescinded because they're going to be put into what we have as a rules of procedure. And they will be linked to that particular it's not really a policy, it's just rules of procedure. So we won't be losing them. They're just being replayed, putting it in a different place. The two policies that will go out for public comment next Tuesday evening will be policy 8301, which is rules of procedures and appeals and hearings under 6202 of the education article. Most of those appeals have to do and hearings have to do with certificated staff or licensed staff appealing decisions made about their employment. And then this other policy is 8302, which rules of procedures and appeals and hearings under 7305 of the education article. And that relates to appeals and hearings for student discipline appeals and hearings. And that policy will be going out for public comment, so that they'll vote to move it out for public comment Tuesday evening, and it should be posted by Wednesday or Thursday of next week. That it'll be out for 2 weeks for public comment. The policy 0105 is actually, the board is supposed to vote on that at their meeting on this Thursday evening to enact that policy and the revisions to it. And then the only other thing I wanted to bring to your attention, which I think is probably the most important thing I'm telling you this evening, is that the June 16th Policy and Governance Committee meeting, they will look at a draft work plan for the next school year, for 26-27 school year. And the work plan contains policies that are recommended. Board members can recommend it. The superintendent recommends policies. And I wanted to bring it to PCAC's attention because if there's any policies that PCAC feel are important that should be looked at for the next school year, if we like at the PCAC meeting will be before the Policy and Governance Committee meeting. So we absolutely then, if people have any thoughts on that, we could certainly include that in the recommendations for the work plan.
Thank you, Ms. Welsh. And I definitely want to add policy 1500. I will move forward and send some recommendation for that.
Okay.
Because there are some loopholes to include the parent representative. This policy needs to state that the parent representative needs to reside in the district that they are serving in. And so, that has been such a thorn in our side over the past couple of years. So, and I would ask that all of you, Ms. Welsh is providing this information, and it is important that we understand these rules and procedures. They hold a lot of governance on how the board should be operating. And so you all need to pay very close attention to those rules and procedures that have come up with some very severe changes that, I will definitely be giving some feedback on that as well. Ms. Welsh, I think that we've talked several times about that. But thank you as always, and please don't take any of the information that was provided for granted. It is important for us to take the opportunity read those procedures, attend the events that Dr. Jackson also had shared, because it still gives us a way to connect, engage, and advise outside of our normal meetings. I would like to lend a few more moments of my time to our board liaison, Miss Jackson Saunders. I know you submitted a report,
Yeah,
and so I'm going
yeah.
to give you a moment to briefly touch on a high level view of it. And
Right. Thank you, Chair Millhouse, and good evening, stakeholders. I did indeed submit a report to Madam Chair, which is uploaded in Diligent, and the purpose of that was simply to update this group on the work of the Strategic Alignment Work Group. And I know that you have indeed been receiving critical information through several of the collateral pieces, dollars and cents, things like that. But for you, I wanted to ensure that you knew the group indeed was working uh, diligently. And I know that Mr. Bronson is in on the meeting, and so he can also, as I always encourage, to add on or simply involve you in what has been happening. There, presently, they've scheduled 2 additional meetings that are on the calendar. The group has acknowledged that their work is really intense, and they may not be complete within the 90-day proposed timeline that was originally presented when the group was created. And so understanding that they are going to push forward. Where we are now, and of course I do attend those meetings, where we are now is that the group is divided up into 3 subcommittees. And those 3 subcommittees are fiscal review and resource alignment. And for the most part, they analyze spending and identify reinvestment opportunities. The second group is revenue and sustainability, and they are looking at exploring new funding streams and strategies. And then the third group is called stakeholder engagement and policy recommendations. And of course, their purpose is to ensure community voice and how we translate that feedback into actionable guidance. And so the documents are obviously public facing. You certainly are encouraged to keep up with the group and the work that they are doing. Again, Mr. Bronson, please feel free to chime in. But currently, the work group is actively engaged in an analysis and collaborative problem solving on 3 points: developing recommendations that they will be presenting to the entire group, how to continue that stakeholder engagement in an ongoing fashion, and then refining the strategies for program alignment and financial sustainability. It is, I believe, based on the conversations that have been had, it is everyone's desire that when this process concludes, that there are some intentional recommendations that are being made in order to facilitate those programs being saved, those that can, but obviously being able to maximize the dollars that we do have so that they reach the most amount of our scholars. That is the goal. But I'm telling you, I believe that that group is integral to making sure that our educational stakeholders are invested and more importantly are educated. They have come up with the idea that this budget process absolutely is cumbersome and is going to be difficult for our parents to have conversations about, because there is no pre-learning that takes place. There is no opportunity to kind of engage parents in the basics of what this budgeting process is. And so there's even another look at how that information is going to be presented going forward. The people that we have on the committee, of course, you know, we have representatives from every district. And in addition to that, we have our union stakeholders, PGCEA, AFSCME, all those folks are at the table. We have the community partners at the table, but honestly, there is a recognition that the conversation is too big to have with the masses of our parents. So we've got to figure out a way to bring this to a smaller group so that there's some intentional education going on about the budget. Right now, it's a big piece. It's a big mammoth piece, and trying to bite into it, to understand it, to help even come up with ideas about how we realign, where budget cuts start. Obviously, we all say keep them out of the classroom, but what that really looks like, especially in terms of these blueprint dollars, it's a whole nother conversation. And so there's a lot of work to be done, but that work group is indeed working. And it is their plan to be able to introduce those recommendations back to this group.
Okay.
What that looks like in the end, I don't have that clue, but I do know that that's the plan.
Okay, and I do appreciate that that overview. I see we have a few hands, and let me be clear on time because we will do a better job in managing how we go into the Q&A portion of this because we still on the presentation of the committee chair. And so I'm not sure who hand went up first, but I'm going to throw this to Ms. Perkins. You have the opportunity to ask one question.
This is actually for Ms. Welch. So would you like me to hold it to the Q&A, Chair Milhouse?
Um, it's not in regards to what Ms. Saunders just mentioned.
No, ma'am. It was
Okay, well, you
before
can
Ms.
just go
Saunders.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead and ask the question.
I will be brief. I'm sorry. Thank you so much, Chair Milhouse. Ms. Welch, thank you for all you do. I do have a question. I'm glad that you guys are working on the wellness and physical activities presentation and that initiative for middle school. That is something that a lot of middle school parents have been concerned about. So I just wanted to say kudos to that. My question to you, has this information been shared to the middle school community? Because I am a middle school parent and I have not heard about this meeting. I think it's important for parents that are immediately impacted to be aware so that they can tune in. Because I think the meeting that you're referring to is on the 10th, correct? Not the 12th. Or is it the 12th? Like, I'm trying to find it on the calendar. I think you're on mute, Ms. Walsh. I would just ask, just to be brief, I would just ask if we can just get the information shared with the middle school communities within our county. You're on mute, Ms. Walsh.
It's May 12th. It's Tuesday, May 12th.
Okay. Can we, Dr. Jackson, can we make sure that this information is shared with the middle school community so that if at a minimum a PTO rep or someone from the engagement communities for all can just be aware and parents have the option to tune in and to provide feedback to this policy. I'll share it, but I think it's very important for people to be aware because this is a serious issue in the middle school community that's been brought up for their wellness activity level.
So I could contact the chief of school support tomorrow and share. We actually have a couple principals that were part of the task force that did the research. And so, but I can let her know and she could probably, between the instructional directors and everything, let the schools know so they could inform the parents. So I'll do that tomorrow morning.
Thank you so much, Ms. Walsh.
And could I just rope in Dr. Jackson and her team? I mean, they are, we're having this
Oh, good idea.
leadership. What is it called? The parent leader meeting.
Yeah.
And, Dr. Jackson and her team, they have access to all of us.
Yeah.
So if we kind of keep Dr. Jackson and her team in the loop,
Thank you. Absolutely. We will help get that word out.
Yeah, you already have a standing list of all the parent leader groups. So,
It's a great idea.
yeah. See, look at that. Miss Vice Chair Smith.
Thanks, Chair Milhouse. I just wanted to do some follow-up really quick. I don't think I have a specific question, but it was in reference to Board Member CJ's report related to that strategic work group that's in place. The first thing, and I keep my ear to the ground, so I think I have a little knowledge here. And I've already stated, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the lack of PCAC's presence is concerning. But when I hear that there needs to be some education with the parents. I don't know if that is specific to those who are on that particular work group or just in general. But the comment I would say is that we shouldn't underestimate the skill set and the knowledge that is out there. So I don't know how individuals were selected. I understand that there is representation from every district. It's unclear on how that selection process was made. And so if there is a gap in the skill set level, maybe it's due to how the selection process was made. I'll make that comment, and then somebody could correct me if I'm wrong. I know that Mr. Bronson is sitting on that work group, but I don't think he is sitting in the capacity of PCAC. I think he was selected as a district representative.
Correct. He's not representing the Parent Community Advisory Council. And so I appreciate that comment. And I don't know if Miss Board Member
Mayor,
Jackson Saunders, if you wanted to respond.
absolutely. Absolutely, I do. And so let me clarify. When I speak about the education, I am not speaking specifically about the people who are on the committee. I am suggesting that the group gathered on the committee is suggesting that we have to do collectively, have to do a better job in engaging our parent community, our stakeholders in understanding the budget. You know, and I'm using this term loosely, we throw the budget at our community and we talk about how we make sense of the monies that we have without really including them on the conversation about the budget. I mean, line by line by line. And I've heard you all speak about that as well, for sure. And all we're saying is that that is a definite need. And we've got to start having the conversations before we start talking about deficits and gaps and, falling short of the goal. And what we believe, and I'm speaking we collectively now, is that a lot of these conversations can absolutely happen even at the school level with that parent engagement before we get up to the board level or, the superintendent level. And I can speak from the fact that I have been to all of my schools and had conversations with principals and stakeholders, and I'm finding that that parent voice is not there. It just is not there. It can be there individually, but I'm speaking collectively as a group, as an organized body. And to me, and I've talked about this with Dr. Jackson as well, we've got to start there, because when you have those groups there and helping them to understand what is going on with budgets and programs and all of that, they're your best advocates to be able to help problem solve. And so that's the level that we're seeing. So no, I wasn't speaking about the assembled individuals. I'm speaking about they are advocating that more work needs to be done in engaging our parent community before we start talking about cuts and gaps, having those conversations earlier and at the local school level.
Yes, because there are policies that are in place that that should be happening. So then that goes back to the board understanding the policies that are
That's
in
right.
place and making sure that the governing body is making
Is
sure that the
carrying that out.
superintendent, right, is following,
Absolutely.
right? So this is nothing new. And I can say years ago, the school system did a much better job in engaging the community around the budgeting process. And what I've seen over the years is as we elect new board members, the unfortunate thing is you get sworn in and then you jump right into having to approve a budget. And I can tell you this, and I can guarantee you this. A large portion of our board members don't even understand the budget that they're voting on. So one of the things that needs to happen is we may need to look at legislation, right? Since board members have to do all this training and making sure that these individuals who are voting on a multi-billion dollar, organization in that budget, that they understand what they're looking at. They understand, how it was actually developed, where the funding is coming from, what legislation it follows, right? And so I think the education happens across the board. And so I do appreciate you sharing that you are actually out there engaging, with your community and, identifying who's in place at the schoolhouse to make sure it's happening. But I would encourage you also to start with the policy. And I don't remember, Ms. Welsh, you may remember the policy, but um, the policy is clear on how the school system or the schoolhouse should be having those budget meetings at the school level. And if you all did an audit, I guarantee you it's not happening. So,
Again,
I
and
think that's
I
where we
appreciate,
start with that
yeah,
policy and you all,
agree,
adhering to the policies that you all vote to put in place. And I saw
agree.
Mr. Bronson hand go up and down, and I see it's down now. So, um, I'm not sure if you still want to add to the discussion. Okay.
Good evening.
Um,
Thank you, Chairman House. I was just gonna say it was an excellent summation. I would just say, the group is, extremely productive, very thoughtful discussions. I'm the recording secretary on the fiscal review and resource alignment subgroup. And, they were very weighty discussions, but I've been and continue to be impressed with the enthusiasm, intellect, and approach that the group is bringing to the discussions. So excellent summation. Thank you, Dr. Saunders. And no, I am representing District 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bronson. We appreciate that. Um, and so this concludes the report of the committee chair and everyone who was able to contribute to that. Thank you all. So we are going to move into this is presentations, but it really shouldn't be presentations, but it's okay. We are going to move into our elections right now. At this time, Miss Woodridge, where are you? Miss Woodridge. Oh, there you go.
I'm ready.
I don't know what I was looking at. I apologize, you all. So every year we elect our leadership for the Parent Community Advisory Council. And I will say, don't shed any tears, but I am leaving. Don't applaud either. I'll applaud for myself. I am excited about the time that I've had as chair and Ms. Smith as vice chair and our recording secretary, Ms. Akimba Lawrence. This has been another exciting year. Not as exciting as going to Disney World with your kids who take all your money, but it's been exciting nevertheless. And so, as the policy requires for us to have elections. And so we need to select a chair, a vice chair, and the recording secretary. Myself and Ms. Lawrence, we will not be returning. Ms. Smith has one more year on her term. Um, I will say that Mr. Smith, I believe this is your last year for your term. And who else? Miss Lundy, this is your last year of your second term. And so we are leaving on a high horse and very excited. And so we're going to open up because we didn't get any self-nominations. Anyone was nominated by anyone. And so we are going to open up the floor at this time for nominations from the floor for the chair for the 2026-27 school year for the Parent and Community Advisory Council. Mr. Bronson, your hand is up.
I'd like to nominate Brother James Williams for chair, please.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. So at this time, we have a nomination from Mr. Bronson, from Mr. Williams as the chair of the Parent and Community Advisory Council. There is no competition. We will go through roll call. And what happens is we don't have secret ballots. We are voting live. And so you need to cut your camera on, you need to cast your vote, either say yes or no to the nomination that has been provided for chair, which is Mr. James Williams.
Question?
Mr.
Yeah.
Williams, do you accept the
Does he
nomination?
accept? Yeah,
Yeah,
that was gonna be
yeah,
my
I was going to
question.
go into that. I'm sorry. I was going to go into that. Mr. Williams, do you accept?
I accept.
I mean, that was going to be a given anyway, but just making sure that we don't have any competition for Mr. Williams. And Miss Woodridge, would you like to go?
Yes. Will Bronson,
Aye. Aye.
Brescia Hueta.
She's not present.
Okay. Kamika Harris,
That's a yes.
Christopher Smith.
Yes.
You said yes?
Yes.
Okay. Akimbra Lawrence,
Yes.
Teresa Smith,
Yes.
Dolores Millhouse,
Absolutely.
USADA Hinton,
Yes.
Candace Perkins,
Yes.
Trayvon Suki, Carletta Lundy,
Resounding yes.
Mr. James Williams,
Yes. I mean, I maybe say no to that, brother, but I'll say yes.
Reverend Dr. Evelina Huggins.
She's not present.
Okay. Dr. Sheila Jackson,
Yes.
Robin Welsh.
Yes.
We have 12 votes to James Williams for the chair.
Congratulations, Mr. Williams. And
Congratulations.
welcome to the
Congratulations.
executive
Wonderful.
role of chair for the Parent Community Advisory Council for the 2026-2027 year. And at this time, we will move into the role of vice chair.
Okay.
I would like to nominate Ms. Kamika Harris. She said I don't know what she's doing with her head, but I don't know what's happening.
I'm sorry, no. Not at this time. I have too much on my plate right now.
And did she decline the nomination? I'm
She
sorry.
declined the nomination. Ms. Kamika Harris has declined the nomination for vice chair. And in the comments, she said she respectfully declines. You all figure it out, and I just added the rest. I nominate Ms. Teresa Smith for vice chair.
I have to respectfully decline as well.
So please make note that Ms. Vice Chair Smith has declined, and I struck out twice. I don't play baseball, so I have nothing else to add. Miss,
May
can
I
we get a nomination from the floor of any other member that
may I nominate Ms. Candace Perkins?
we have Ms. Perkins as a nomination from the floor. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Ms. Perkins, do you accept the nomination?
Unfortunately, I cannot. I am running for the Board of Ed for District 9, and I plan to come back as your liaison.
Well, all right then. So we are 3 for 3 at this moment in time. Please let the record show that Ms. Perkins has also declined the role of vice chair. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Self-nominations? Anything? Going once? Going twice? Miss Smith?
I have a question. I know that there are PCAC, the applications for PCAC are currently open. So my question is, do we have to
Yes.
well, I guess I know the answer to this, but my question was going to be, do these roles have to be fulfilled tonight?
Yes. And so if it is not, then you will remain until the next year, until the next meeting come September. But you will remain in the role of vice chair until someone else is nominated.
Okay. Not that I wouldn't want to work with you, Chair Williams.
I'd like to nominate Brother William Bronson.
Okay, we have a nomination from the floor of Mr. Bronson. Mr. Bronson, do you accept the nomination from the floor?
Mr. Williams, yes.
So at this time, we have no other nominations from the floor for vice chair. And so at this time, we will vote on Mr. Bronson, who has no competition, for the role of vice chair.
Okay, Mr. Bronson.
Please, Mr. Bronson, can you turn your camera on, please? We need you on camera, sir.
Sure.
William Bronson.
Aye. I'm here and present.
Okay, and then we have Kamika Harris.
Yes.
Okay. Christopher Smith.
Yes.
Akeem Lawrence.
Can I ask a question for clarity, or do I need to wait?
We will have discussion after the vote.
Can I abstain from voting then? I would like to abstain from voting.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Teresa Smith.
I am also abstaining.
Dolores Millhouse.
I'll be abstaining.
Yosinda Hinton.
Aye.
Candace Perkins. Candace Perkins. Did she say aye?
I'm sorry, aye.
Okay. Carletta Lundy.
Aye. Yes.
James Williams.
Aye.
Okay, Dr. Sheila Jackson.
Aye.
And Robin Welsh.
Aye.
We have 9 ayes, yes, and 3 abstain.
All right, and so we will now move into discussion. Ms. Lawrence, you have a question?
Yes, I'm just wanting to know, so Mr. Bronson, you're representing District 1. I'm just trying to figure out what area you would be representing. I apologize. I'm not clear on that.
I'm the District 1 rep representing Dr. Endorfel.
Okay. Thank you. That was my question.
Any other questions for discussion? All right, Mr. Bronson, congratulations. You are the vice chair of the Parent Community Advisory Council.
Congratulations.
Now we are moving into the role of recording secretary. As a reminder, the recording secretary is leaving in June. And so the only other individuals that are available to hold that role are Ms. Perkins or Ms. Harris, who still have 1 year left on their term. And so at this time, we need to get a nomination from the floor. And if not, then Mr. Bronson or Mr. Williams will be taking their own notes until they get a secretary. Ms. Perkins.
Point of clarification, Madam Chair. So with the current Peacock members closing, the application closing on the 8th, and thereafter the board members of the respective districts selecting the vacancies, would they be able to be filled in September, or would we meet again in June with the new board? I forget the schedule, so please.
Well, the process should have already been taking place, and so we should have been notified. So at
okay.
this point in time, I'm not sure what's happening because that's done outside of the committee. So we don't, so we should have known by now who was coming into the role. They are not a part of the committee, so they don't vote or do anything until the next school year.
Correct.
So
that answers the question.
So you weren't nominating yourself for recording secretary? Yeah. Okay.
I will step up until I have to step down to the side. Yes, I nominate myself as recording secretary.
Okay. So we have a self-nomination from the floor. Do we have anyone else who would like to run against Ms. Perkins for recording secretary? And Ms. Harris, I don't want you to be so excited about not throwing your name into the hat, but I see you moving. I see you moving towards it. I can read your lips. And she's saying, not today. So what we'll do is we'll move forward. Ms. Perkins, since you've self-nominated, I really don't need to ask you, do you accept the nomination because you nominated yourself? So we are moving forward into voting. Thank you very much.
Okay. Will Bronson?
Just FYI, I'm sorry. Ms. Perkins is also making it clear that this is a temporary, she's just filling in. So you all may need to take note going into the new year that you may need to open up elections. And
I am making that very clear.
I'm sorry, Ms. Woodridge. Thank you.
Okay. Will Bronson?
Aye.
Kamika Harris?
Aye.
Christopher Smith?
Yes.
Akimber Lawrence?
Yes.
Teresa Smith?
Yes.
Dolores Millhouse?
Yes.
Yusada Hinton?
Yes, aye.
Candace Perkins?
Yes, again.
Okay. Carletta Lundy?
Yes, and thank you, Ms. Perkins, for stepping up.
James Williams?
Aye.
Dr. Sheila Jackson?
Yes.
And Robin Welsh?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 votes yes.
Congratulations to the new
Congratulations.
executive leadership for Parent Community Advisory Council. And the one thing that I would say is remember, we are not a PTO group. You are advising the school system and, put your knowledge, skill, and ability to work. And I'm quite sure that you all will do great and we will see a different level of engagement. I'm quite sure of it. And so we are now going to move into item 7.2, Office of the Strategic Planning and Resource Management. And Miss Weatherington, I'm gonna tell you this, I was planning on getting you out of here by 8:15 and it's 7:55. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do it.
We'll
I'm
see.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Dr. Collins is confident.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna leave the questions to a minimum, you all, because Miss Weatherington has to go home. I just put it on you. I can't put it on me. I'm gonna put it on somebody.
Okay.
She said I'm already home.
Mhm.
Take it away.
Ms. Millhouse, can I begin? This is Dr. Collins. Is that okay?
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Collins. I'm sorry. You
It's
got it.
okay.
You take it away.
Okay,
Somebody
I'm gonna take it away. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm actually back. There's two things that I heard you mention tonight is how this group, we want families to be co-creators of the work and understand how to support and partner. The other piece that resonated the last time I came to give an update about the strategic plan is the role of this group as an advisory. So this is why I asked Dr. Jackson if I can come back with Dr. Weatherington and Dr. Hughes just to provide an update on where we are with our strategic plan, to get some advisement on as we move forward, how could we better make sure we're getting input from our families, but also how to make things clearer, easier, all of those pieces. And so Ms. Perkins had given us some feedback, for example, around the website for this, and I connected her with Dr. Weatherington. So I just want to come back. We won't be long. We put together slides just to focus the conversation, but wanted to use you all as an advisor, so that's why we're here. So I'm not sure, Dr. Weatherington, are you going to display the slides, or Dr. Hughes?
I can share my screen.
Okay, perfect. And we won't be long before you. And there'll be other opportunities, but this is a high-level overview of where we are in terms of the strategic plan. And wanting to be very clear that, you know, strategic plans sometimes are built and sit on the shelf. We do not want that to happen, right? We really want our community to understand it's our roadmap to ensuring success for every student, every child in the district. And so we're going to give a high-level overview of where we are at this point. You can go to the next slide, Vanessa. What you see here are the 5 different priorities that have elevated based through our discussions. Dr. Weatherington will talk a little bit more about that towards the end. But we are now transitioning from collecting data to really getting clearer on our direction in terms of how do we be more specific based on what we've heard from our community about what's important from them. And so these are the clear priorities that have emerged through all of the stakeholder engagement thus far. Next slide. So at the heart of our plan is the vision and core values. We've refined this over time from central office staff to the classroom, of really helping us to ensure we know where our North Star is. You'll notice the wording here, we hope, is more concise, and it remains unchanged, but it's a work in progress. We want to shift our language from just teaching to really empowering, and ultimately for students, not just to be focused on passing standardized tests, but really graduating what we see as limitless potential to really change the world. And so these 6 values that you see here represent the how behind our work. And we really want to prioritize students to embrace this culture of continuous improvement and beliefs that are embedded across our district. Next slide. This funnel is something that we will be socializing. We've been talking about this internally as Dr. Joseph and I have been really getting our teams to focus, but it really shows how the work needs to be aligned. Sometimes you might hear the term coherent, how all these pieces fit together. But we can't forget that at the top we have, for the state, we have the Maryland Blueprint, right? And that really guides the work in district. But then we have to look at our own district context to see what does that mean for what our school community wants. And so that's where we begin to be more strategic and build our big rocks and accelerators. We don't want to start from scratch because there's a lot of investments that's already been made, but also we want to refine our focus and energy based not only on proven strategies, but also information and recommendations from our greater community. Next slide. So this is our timeline and where we are to date. We've tried to be very intentional. We started by analyzing system-wide data,
clarifying the scope of our work, but more importantly, we tried to hold ourselves accountable for spending a significant amount of time in listening to our stakeholders. We don't want this plan to be built in a vacuum, so that's where we want our accountability to be heard. If we need to go in a different direction to get greater input and support, we'd love ideas and suggestions from this group. Right now, we are continuing to draft. This month, there will be formal public comment open to the public. But by June, we want to move into kind of finalizing everything so that we can begin a full publication. And yes, we are trying to implement a 3-year plan. Some districts do a 5-year plan, but we think a 3-year plan will help us to really focus and really narrow what we're doing in the district. Next slide. And then community engagement, core value of us. Here you see we're trying to demonstrate how we've tried to cast a wide net in terms of our engagement strategy, moving beyond just simple surveys and sending them out to the community and really hosting regional town halls and sessions. Getting out into the community is really vital to ensuring these goals. So for example, like how we improve transportation facilities, and also matching our goals around literacy and mathematics. So if there are opportunities, we've tried to get across all regions, North, Central, and South, but if there's more work that we can do or do a better job on that, we'd love to know how to do that. Because again, we don't want to build the strategic plan in a vacuum, because everybody should own and see themselves in this. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Wethington to continue.
Thank you. So as we shared earlier, at the onset of this meeting, we talked about how we collected sort of that advisement from you all and from the broader community. And so we heard from staff, students, and families. We did focus groups, town halls, surveys, north, central, and south of the county. So we heard from everyone all across the district. And this is just a snapshot of the comments and the feedback that we heard from staff, students, and families around those priorities and where we need to put our biggest focus. And for staff, it's what we've heard a lot, and you will see that reflected in the priorities at the end. But the workload and protected time, really focusing on their professional growth and increased opportunities for job embedded training, looking at resources and conditions in our buildings, addressing student behavior and offering more supports there. And then, as Dr. Collins said, really focusing on that accountability and that consistency, making sure that our expectations are clear and transparent, and then also promoting those equitable practices and shared accountability. It says across schools, but across schools and central offices. And from families, the themes were very similar. Again, that transparency and accountability component. Just a desire for a clearer insight into the district's decisions. We heard earlier budgets and operations. And so that theme also resonated here. Again, communication and engagement, more timely school-specific communication, academic clarity, family partnerships, and more opportunities to engage in programs and extracurricular activities for students. And then students, as you saw earlier, they were our biggest contributor to this, with 22,000 of them sharing their voice. And they really wanted to see more engaging learning experiences, really looking at teacher and school culture, as well as our communication. That whole student support, which you will see reflected within our priorities, and that post-secondary preparation, just more guidance on college and career pathways, and increased exposure into the real world and their skills and experiences. So how did all of that come together and translate into these priorities? Again, we did not do this in a vacuum. All of the things that were considered was, what is the state asking us to do? The history and the context of PGCPS from our current strategic plan, and just all of the things we've learned in the past. Looking at our core priorities, our focus areas, and those strategic drivers, those big rocks. And then looking at metrics and targets and monitoring data and progress from the past, as well as that stakeholder input and from the community. And we looked at common themes, which led us to these 5 priorities. Sorry, I'm trying to move that over. These priorities include student success, focusing on staff and leaders and that workforce development component. Expanding access to program remains a priority. Family partnerships and organizational culture. And on this slide, we wanted to really show you all how this looks as we move from Transformation 2026 into Forward by Design, Acceleration 2029. For 2026, we were looking to transform in some areas. And for our 3-year strategic plan, we're really looking to accelerate. So you'll see here that we're shifting from educational excellence into student success, moving from general excellence to more targeted instruction in math and literacy, as well as focusing on that pre-K, our early learners, special education, and our multilingual learners. We are still focused on excellence and equity, but within that for us means expanding access to programs, which also is a part and a requirement of Blueprint. So it's operationalized by expanding access to our IRC, which is our industry recognized credentials, our CTE programs, our wraparound supports, and several other areas that are not listed but will be included in the plan. Instead of looking at just workforce and operational excellence, we really wanted to focus in on our staff and our leaders, focusing on our talent pipelines, how we attract new staff, onboarding, our workforce capacity, and our need for professional development. And then our mental health and wellness as a standalone goal is now embedded within our organizational culture. Our wellness is integrated into our holistic systemic focus on safety, belonging, and ensuring schools and offices are welcoming, as well as focusing on the overall culture of our school system. And then lastly, you'll see that we have family partnerships. Family partnerships was integrated into multiple areas across the plan, but we pulled it out and we have it now as a standalone priority because we know that through those family partnerships, that's where we're really able to elevate our community engagement. We're able to reduce absenteeism. We really want to focus on family engagement, and we want to focus on family learning supports, really making sure that families understand if we're focusing on math and literacy, what does that mean for families? And so as we work to do public comment, you'll see all of this will be fleshed out with the priorities, focus areas, and strategies. And at the end of this, we will share a link for you all to give your input, and we welcome any questions. I'm sorry, Ms. Millhouse, you're muted.
I'm sorry, my son came in and was like, we don't have any more rice. I'm sorry. Sorry, you all. Ms. Perkins and Ms. Smith, you all's hands are up. Ms. Smith, your hand, Vice Chair Smith, your hand was up first. So I'm going to toss the ball to you this time.
Thank you, Chair Millhouse. So I have 4 items I wanted to touch on, but first I wanted to say thank you for sending these materials as a read ahead because I found it to be very helpful to not, sort of receive the information in the meeting and have to just ask questions. I could more so provide what my role is here to advise. So on the first item, is connected to priority 1 and 4, student success and family partnerships. We have Clever as a platform. And I'm curious about the utilization rate of the apps within that platform, but at a broader level, I think it would be helpful if families received like a 1-page or some type of quick start guide at back to school night so that we know what apps are in there and what are the credentials that are needed to access those apps. The second one is dealing with, and Chair Millhouse touched on this at the earlier part of the meeting, is dealing with priority 4, family partnerships and their organizational culture, specifically for the legislative feedback. This school year, PCAC had been informed that the district was planning to have 2 legislative sessions. Only 1 occurred. I think that it would be very helpful if we do have a minimum of 2 and allow the family's voice to feed into whatever the legislative priorities are going to be, because we already mentioned in this meeting, we can be a powerful advocate, but sometimes we need to know, where's the district going with whatever these legislative priorities are. Number 3 is dealing with priority 5, organizational culture, about the environment. You all know I speak from the space of students with disabilities. So I would like to advise that when we talk about making it a welcome environment, that we explicitly adopt and even defined physical and sensory accessibility, especially with the number of students who are being identified on the autism spectrum. Number 4, this is related to priority number 3, expanding access to programs, inclusivity with the CTE pathways. I think we really need to key in on, what type of accommodations or perhaps what barriers may exist and how we overcoming this for students with disabilities who may have an IEP or 504 plan, but they want to pursue the CTE pathway at high school. Thank you.
Thank you. That was good, Ms. Smith. That's exactly what we want, because you're getting into the how, which is the next phase. So I love the specificity. So thank you. Thank you. We've got all those notes. As we build into the how, we won't let that get lost. Thank you so much.
And thank goodness this is recorded so they can go back, because you said a mouthful that was very helpful, really helpful. And I just want to make sure before I give it to Ms. Perkins that this plan is really more so just an overview of what will be happening. You're not into the weeds yet, the metrics and the baseline. And so this is the building out the framework.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So if anybody has any questions that's dealing with the details and the metrics and where are we right now, and that is not what was presented.
Correct.
So you can hold your questions, because my brain went into, I need numbers and data, and I need to be able to measure where we were from the last plan and then to where we are building on this plan. So Ms. Perkins, if your question is asking about metrics, I want you to take your hand down, but it's not.
Well,
With that beautiful smile, you got it.
I will skip that question and I will just ask that we talk a lot about the back to school prep and the feed of information, right? Well, what do we do over the summer to truly prepare our families to roll into the school year? I think that this is the perfect one pager, like Ms. Smith mentioned. We need to get this to parents over the summer so that they can digest what is coming to them in the next school year. Because I'm gonna be honest, if I am a parent of a freshman in high school, I am learning how to navigate what high school means to my family, what I need to do to hold that scholar accountable, yada, 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 right? So if we talk about preparing families, let's do it before the school year begins, so that, how we talk about the summer learning gap for our scholars, we don't have that for parents when it comes to resource information, because they can still navigate through the website where most of this stuff is already baked, and they can play with it because they have a little bit more time to digest it, so that when we're rolling into the school year, they're coming to school prepared as parents as well.
Love
And then
it. That's a
that
great
enables them
idea.
to ask more engaging questions because they're prepared versus being everything shoved down to them at one time. I yield, Chair Millhouse. I'm done. No more analyst questions. I'm done.
Thank you. That's great feedback. Love it. Thank you.
I don't believe you, Ms. Perkins, so I'm just going to take that off the floor just in case you need to come back. We will have one more round. And so no, thank you all. This was really helpful. And I want to just segue into we did a Jumpstart engagement document a couple of years ago, which we presented in our report. That was, I guess it's still sitting on the shelf somewhere, Dr. Collins. Maybe you can pull it off the shelf if you want to talk to us before we leave, because this will be the last moment to get that free advice. But it really will guide the parents on how to not only begin their engagement with the school system, but how to keep them connected. And so I am glad to see that there is a focus area on there for the family partnerships being spelled out. And I know that the training that Dr. Jackson and her team used to do with Comer some years ago, um, is it coming back? Right? Because we can talk about partnership in theory. Here I am, I'm about to get on this soapbox, but it is very, very different when you actually have to put it in play and when you are building the family's capacity to be a partner in education, to be a co-creator. You're also making sure that they understand their role and responsibility in this educational space. And it is not done where the school system or the board is giving them talk points and saying, hey, do it this way, or go and provide, testimony, and here is what you need to say. It is being in a position to engage with the community as equal partners and knowing they have a knowledge, skill, and ability to provide insight, to provide understanding, but also come in a position of, I need to learn, right? I always come to the school system knowing that I chose the school system to be a part of my children's board of directors. And so I have a skill set at that table that I need to help guide me in the role of a partner with you all. And so if the school system, one of the other things that we discuss, really look at how we are engaging family partnership. I mean, not engaging, but defining family partnership, right? How are we looking at the family, in this space? And sometimes I believe that the school system looks at a parent, with the lens of a deficit, right? And if you would just change the lens a little bit to see that those individuals have so much knowledge that they're bringing forward to the table to support the learning, and we just need to know, right? Just tell me what to do. And so, again, I'm always excited to see family partnership on the table. I hope it's more than just a priority focus that's on paper, but that it is a continuous improvement activity. And Dr. Jackson, you can look at me in my eyes, and I wish your team was up here in the panel. That means that you all are going to be out there doing those Family Institute trainings, and really building the family's capacity to be a part of this engaging ecosystem to support the child. But my last little question is more so, what happened to the where we are from the last strategic plan? Will there be somewhat of a bridge that you're showing what the accomplishments were, what areas of focus that are now going into this new strategic plan? Um, because if not, that creates a gap because people need to see what was working or what we were able to accomplish from the previous strategic plan and how that helped move the school district forward. And then now why these goals and priorities are now in place. Um, and I'll say it from the perspective that when an individual doesn't understand the how, what, and why, you're just giving them information and they don't know how they feed into supporting this, right? And so this is really about going out and building the stakeholders' capacity to be a part of the process because this is not a plan that the school system is working in a silo. What I heard you all say is that this is our plan, right? The community plan, the PGCPS families plan. So I need to know what we did, where we ended from the last strategic plan. I know we got a month or so, a couple of months left, but there should be some metrics in place And then you are then presenting, what we are doing with this new strategic plan to close the gaps. And I know you mentioned the blueprint, but I'm hoping that it will also align with, the requirements from MSDE and the requirements from the federal, I mean, I guess it's still in place, but right, we know there were still federal requirements that we had to align with. So that way, families understand that you all are just not making this up, but there are some governing requirements that are saying why we have to do what we're doing. Because the family partnership aligns with Title I. And I always say, why just do that family partnership pack with Title I schools? Do it across the board, right? Because it makes sense and it's an easy plan to just flip. So that's it for me. Are there any other questions, comments? But great job. I don't have favorites, but I think this department is probably one of my favorites. It's my favorite. Any other
Can I
questions?
say thank you?
I mean,
Ms.
not Dr.
Millhouse?
Jackson. I'm sorry, Dr. Jackson. You don't.
Can I
But you're
say
part of the
thank
team.
you,
So,
Ms.
you
Millhouse?
know, you part of the team. Sorry.
Can I just close by saying thank you for this opportunity? And as a parent in the school system, as someone who oversaw Title I programs and worked at the state, I'm glad you raised that alignment because it's something we need to do, continue to do and educate to show that you're talking about that alignment that we've been talking about internally. So I love what you have elevated because while you're not in the weeds of the work like us, I think I've been beating a dead horse about that. So I appreciate all the comment and feedback. We all do. Not trying to rush you, but we've written everything down. We've got it. You know where to find us. And this was a great example, I hope, of how we want you all to help advise us. So I hope Ms. Millhouse bringing this back was aligned with the role of this group here. So thank you.
Absolutely. And Dr. Collins, I would say as the group continues to move on, it is very important. Yeah, I may not work in the school system, but unfortunately, I am in the weeds more than I would like to be. And, you can only imagine how much information is sitting right here on this screen and the level of knowledge, again, skill and ability that people can bring to the discussion, especially when we're not having to be in the weeds day in and day out. We can see things that you all may not see, right? And again, my work that pays me is policy work. So in finance, so I can pick up a policy very easily and see things, right? Because my eye is trained to do that. I can pick up a budget and see things because my eye is trained to do that. So you have an amazing group of parent and advisory council members that are here and, with the added expertise of the superintendent designees. So I am just hoping that you all continue to utilize this group like this month in and month out to share the information. And Ms. Worthington, thank you for providing it prior to, because people are going to dig in and they're going to ask questions and it makes for a more robust conversation. And so
Thank you.
that's
We
all I
appreciate you all.
have.
Thank you.
Anything else? Oh, I'm so proud of you all. We're on item 8, adjournment. So follow up, we'll be hearing back. And if you all want to come back in June, the only group that we were thinking about bringing back was Miss Vice Chair Smith mentioned the bullying, is a bullying group?
Bullying Advisory Council
Bullying Advisory Council, and of course, transportation.
and transportation, yes.
Because we definitely want to, as we go into the, summer, we always know that a week prior to the school starting, that's when the transportation stuff comes out. But I think that we need to provide transportation another opportunity because people need to understand why it's happening that way. They don't understand that the union also drives how the selection process may go with the drivers, selecting their routes. And not until they do the routes can you then communicate to the public, what your bus assignment is, right? And so we need to afford the transportation department, who doesn't get a lot of love, to provide some explanation as we are getting ready to go into summer break. So I thank you all. It is 8:25. Ms. Weatherington, I took 10 more minutes of your time away from you and your family,
We
but
don't
we are going to go
mind.
ahead and move towards adjournment. Can I get a motion from the floor?
So moved.
A second.
Thank you. And at this time, hearing no discussion, no one says no, we are going to adjourn at 8:25. Be blessed, people. Have a great
You
evening.
too. God bless y'all.
Bye-bye.
Good evening.
Bye.
Good evening.